Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Porthole to Justice, the window to the truth. I am your host, Amelia Duran, and it is February 27th, Thursday afternoon. And this is a random conversation, just a random show I'm doing. I didn't plan this, so it's off the cuff with my friend David in Vietnam. Hi, are you there?
I am here.
Cool. Can you hear me good?
Very good.
Great. We have a good connection. So, welcome to the Porthole to Justice. I didn't plan this show. It's kind of impromptu. But, there's a lot of backlash. We broke this news and we were kind of, one of the I think one of the platforms that were...
Only. I said it. I don't care. I said it. I don't care. I said it.
All this backlash, man. I've been taking so much heat.
From the zombie brigade? From the zombie brigade.
The parasites, you know it.
No, the good host. No, the good host. The good host. Seriously, like honestly, like that's really, listen, everybody. The world is split into 2.5 groups of people. There's the people who are definitely protecting themselves and they're going to live to see tomorrow. The universe has chosen them to be present in tomorrow. And then there's the people who are just good hosts, and they're good hosts for whatever bacteria they have running their life and their gut, and they're missing a third of their gut flora, so plenty of room for other people to run the show. And then there's the people that deny, and then they make up the deniers, and there's that.
Okay, they're texting me or they're commenting like, okay, thank you so much, by the way, for being there for me and talking to me throughout this. But they're saying like this is an agenda so they can mandate vaccines, and this is so they can derail the Trump campaign and sabotage our economy.
Nobody's derailing the Trump campaign. I'm sorry. Bernie's not going to be your president. Although you do have to worry about looking at Hillary and Michael Obama roll up on you.
Oh, okay.
In the next, no, it's all they got left. It's all they got left. That's the last. I mean, because they need her to protect Barry, and Hillary's got to protect herself and Bill and whoever else she took money from. So. I mean, but I'm not worried about these people. I mean, they're pretty much, they're walking corpses. They're like the last thing I'm worried about in life right now. Although I
try to keep a really straight face when I say this name, but I never do because it just makes me laugh.
De Blasio? You call him Bubble Blower?
Why? Yeah.
You call him Bubble Blower?
He's apparently was showing solidarity with the coronavirus sufferers, the Pope.
God, take a shower, everybody.
He was kissing, or you know how they kiss on the cheek when they greet each other and they shake each other's hands.
What's special?
Yeah, and the Iranian Pope. I guess I think he met with the Iranian Pope, was it? Or?
It was the equivalent of the Iranian Pope, but it's my understanding he was probably in the same vicinity as, and I'll say this just as a kind of lark, and you'll love it. Hold on. But don't you think it's interesting that the deputy, okay, so we all know now that the deputy health minister of Iran is sick, just so you know, he's a dead man, because Iran has already demonstrated they don't have enough medicine or medical facilities to properly get him right. So he's a corpse. But Iran is really good at lying and trying to keep up a good face, and they're really horrible at it. But more importantly, why did Iran just recently start rolling out their 5G network?
Really? Where did you read this?
Yeah. Oh, let me see. Where did I pull this up at? Let me see. Just give me a second. I look first. I don't just run my mouth. I just go, it's got a 5G network. Trust me, everywhere there's a major outbreak right now, 5G network. which is why I'm looking at the UK. Like, hey, if you live in the UK, man.
Okay, well, let's talk about this for a minute, and let's kind of explain why. The why and how.
Well, basically, if you live, I mean, okay. Let me just read this to you real quickly. Let me pull it up. Can you guys still hear me? I hope you can.
We can hear you.
All right. Okay, so I'm just sifting through it. Nope. Oh wow! I love how I pull something up and I save it for me to read over again, and then when I look at it later, I love how, listen, Google is like really bad at like yanking your photos on your screen grabs now and your saves. I'm like, you guys got to stop that. You really got to stop that. So here I am taking a picture that I just saved, and now all of a sudden it's not visible. ETA, da-da-da. Let me see. Maybe I put it in here and didn't realize. No, they yanked my photo. I just looked up this thing, and now all of a sudden it's not in my. I mean, I just did a screen grab, saw it happen. Now all of a sudden it's not in my phone. I love how they're censoring your direct phone stuff now. Like, that's really pathetic. That's all right. That's okay. I don't care. I already know. I already looked at it. Wait, maybe it's in my other phone. Let me look. Is it in my other phone? No, it's not in my other phone. It was only in my other. It was in the phone I'm talking to you on. So let me just go and pull it back up. So I'll read this to you folks because you're awesome. So I could have swore I did a screen grab. I don't know.
2 weeks ago, I was a fearmonger. And all of a sudden, now that everybody's reporting on it and it's in the mainstream media a little bit more.
Oh, you're cool now. What are you talking about? Listen to this. Iran committed to 5G rollout despite sanctions. Telegeography. This is coming out of the telegeography.com, right? But the interesting part is that this was in May 29, 2019, but it says February 13th, Iran's telecoms minister has said that the country will kick off the 5th generation internet communications. So they had already committed to it, which means they had already put it in place, because that would almost be, what is that, that's 3 months, so that's like 9 months later. They probably already had it up and running, because, you know, they want to be sneaky about stuff. So they already probably had it up and running. Anyway, now they're getting all these massive cases, and they're doing a really horrible job of trying to hide how bad it is. But, you know, again, I'm interrupting you. You said something. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just telling my son to be quiet. He just got home from school. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
How is this related to 5G, and how is it activated? Like,
well,
I know
there's a lot of,
according to the CDC, the virus is dormant for anywhere from 2 days to 2 weeks.
Only greedy countries are going to allow for only greedy countries are going to allow for any of these boats floating around, these cruise ships, to dock at their port, and they're deliberately more concerned about the economic situation as opposed to the safety of the people. Meaning that they're also getting payoffs from somewhere else to just give it a thumbs up, whereas some countries are like, I don't think so. But I'll say this. Every single one of these cruise ships, just so you know, every single one of these cruise ships have a 5G network built into it. Now, why is that important? Because basically studies have shown that because of the millimeter wavelength that 5G networks are using, we're talking about 5 gigahertz frequency. So we're talking about a wavelength that's oscillating at 5 gigahertz. And if you don't know what 5 gigahertz is, look it up. Just look it up. It's not kilohertz. It's not 1,000. It's like, I think it's like 10,000. It's like about 10,000 cycles per second. So for every gigahertz you have, that's 10,000 cycles. So if you've got 5 gigahertz, you've got 50,000 cycles. Whereas with a kilohertz, you've only got 1,000. So might be 100,000, but I think it's only 10,000 per gigahertz, and it's only 1,000 per gigahertz. But the point I'm getting at is that which is interesting about kilohertz, because cells emit 1.5 or 7 kilohertz to communicate with each other and to do range finding and to do chemical messaging and interference with other bodies, biological systems in the human body or whatever, host they just happen to be in. But getting back to the point, so the gigahertz frequencies that are being produced are basically causing the virus to explode in its breeding cycle and its spreading cycle. I mean, like I forgot what the term is called. Saw a video on it the other day, and then I read up on it also. I'm not gonna lie, I read only maybe 5 pages of documentation on it, but basically it talks about how when a virus is stimulated by radionic means, which would be 5G, or bacteria is stimulated, or pathogens, biological pathogens are stimulated by radionic means, what ends up happening is that they tend to explode. So here's the thing we have to keep in mind about single-celled organisms or pathogens that are biological, is they're single-celled, they're really small. It's not like a large body where you can affect an area of the body and have a little bit of damage occur, and the rest of the cells are responsible for repairing it. But the single-celled organism, when you expose it to radionic, means, it essentially responds instantly. And when you're dealing with 5 gigahertz frequency ranges, you're causing this small cluster of complexly configured atoms to immediately respond to the frequency range, immediately. And one of the things you have to understand is that the vast, near complete majority of the entire functions of any organic cellular organic life form, whether it's a large scale or even small scale or microscopic, it has a ton of molecular triggers that are triggered through either electrons being subjected to electrons or being subjected to protons. Either negative charges or positive charges, or even intense oscillation can trigger these things, and it causes these cells to basically go through their basic, mechanical, molecular mechanical functions. You know what I mean? Or their biomechanical functions, even at that small scale. But again, when you're in an environment, I'm sorry, can you folks still hear me? Mm-hmm. So when you're being subjected to these wavelengths, it's like try to imagine. It's Mardi Gras. You got a bunch of beads. You wind them all up. They're in this chain, in this ball. And imagine you sit that ball on top of a washing machine, and nothing happens, right? Except it jiggles and wiggles. You know what I mean? There's still some chemical processes going on there, right? However, take that same ball on top of a jet engine, and something completely different happens. And that's the difference in vibration that's being produced by these waveforms, or that frequency range in the gigahertz range. So, what's interesting is that the majority of 5G isn't. Here's the funny thing: is 5G is not new. It's just that 5G was it was used in labs for a long time, and I'm not going to go into that. But the point is that the majority of your cell phones that you may have around your house, when cordless phones first came out, they were 1 gigahertz, or then you would see it as this phone's 2 gigahertz, and you can go even further, or it's even clearer. Now, it might have been clearer, but it didn't have a lot more range. However, even in the lower frequency ranges, you can still push more power into into the bandwidth to get a larger, more coherent signal, right? Mm-hmm. However, when you have something like 5 gigahertz range, it's the power required to create a 5 gigahertz frequency it's not as intense. It's not as energy intensive as it once was, but the range hasn't really increased. So you're trying to balance, a coherent signal with the amount of power required to produce it and make it, feasible. So in this situation, because of how they plan on producing, 5G, I mean, China's got over 10,000, 5G towers.